Gasps echoed through the Las Vegas courtroom as the judge delivered the final verdict. Overwhelmed by the weight of his sentence, Austin Chumlee Russell collapsed in shock, leaving the courtroom stunned in a moment that captured the intense emotion surrounding the case. This dramatic scene marked the climax of a high-profile legal battle that had drawn widespread attention and left many wondering how a beloved reality TV star ended up in such a devastating position. Chumlee had long been a fan favorite on the History Channel's hit show Pawn Stars, known for his quick wit, laid-back personality, and knack for bringing humor and authenticity to every episode. Over more than a decade on the show, he became a cultural fixture, with memorable moments like purchasing vintage pinball machines, showcasing his video game knowledge, and delivering his signature catchphrases. But his influence extended beyond television. His role helped boost the visibility of the gold and silver pawn shop, contributed to the collectibles market, and allowed him to build a strong personal brand. Initially cast as the show's comic relief, Chumlee faced early skepticism. However, he refused to be boxed in by stereotypes. Instead, he focused on developing real expertise in niche collectibles, ultimately earning respect as a knowledgeable and valuable member of the cast. His genuine personality and relatability helped him build a loyal fan base, turning him into Pawn Stars' breakout star. What truly distinguished Chumlee was his ability to forge a deep personal connection with viewers. While Pawn Stars catapulted him to fame, he also leveraged that visibility to pursue entrepreneurial ventures. From launching a candy shop and a clothing line to making lucrative personal appearances, he built a business empire that generated millions, resources that would later prove vital in funding his legal defense when shocking allegations came to light. As Pawn Stars continued its successful run, becoming one of cable TV's most popular and internationally syndicated reality programs, Chumlee's personal journey took a darker turn. Though fans initially embraced the same cheerful figure they had seen on screen, the growing divide between his public image and private life soon became evident. In a 2017 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Chumlee reflected, "I was living two completely different lives. Fame makes you feel invincible. I was determined to enjoy every moment, especially when people recognized me everywhere I went. This mindset led to an increasingly lavish lifestyle, luxury cars, a sprawling mansion, and an extensive collection of sneakers and jewelry filled his days." His social media accounts displayed his extravagant habits, gaining millions of views and further solidifying a persona that seemed far removed from the humble beginnings of a pawn shop employee. By the mid-2010s, the contrast between his professional accomplishments and personal indulgences had reached a breaking point, culminating in the explosive legal drama that brought the beloved TV star to his knees. Pawn Stars had become a cultural phenomenon, attracting millions of viewers each week, with special episodes drawing audiences of over 7 million. Meanwhile, Austin Chumlee Russell was expanding his personal brand beyond the show. He launched Chumlee's Candy on the Boulevard, a brightly colored candy store on the Las Vegas Strip, and released a successful line of merchandise that capitalized on his growing fame. However, behind the scenes, Chumlee was grappling with the immense pressure that accompanied his rapid rise to celebrity status, pressure that threatened to unravel both his career and his personal life. In rare, honest interviews, Chumlee reflected on the overwhelming nature of fame. "Going from a regular guy to someone who can't go to Walmart without taking 500 photos set me spiraling," he once confessed. "I turned to things that helped me cope, and it nearly cost me everything." While Pawn Stars became more polished and professional, Chumlee's private struggles deepened. By 2016, the disparity between his cheerful public image and the turmoil behind closed doors had grown significantly. On screen, he was still the lovable, slightly naive character that fans adored. Off-screen, his life was heading down a far darker path, one that would soon come crashing into public view. The turning point came in March 2016, when police executed a search warrant at Chumlee's Las Vegas home. The investigation was initially linked to allegations of sexual assault. "We executed a search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation," said Officer Rodriguez at a press conference that quickly drew widespread media coverage. However, the search yielded unexpected discoveries, leading to a slew of additional charges unrelated to the original investigation. Just days later, TMZ broke shocking details. Law enforcement had uncovered firearms, narcotics, and drug paraphernalia scattered throughout his home, an image completely at odds with the Chumlee viewers had come to know and love. "This isn't the Chumlee we know from TV," one fan wrote in a viral social media post. "This changes how I see the show." The widening gap between his public persona and his private reality had finally caught up to him. Within weeks, prosecutors filed multiple felony charges, including drug and weapon possession, offenses that carried potential prison sentences of up to 20 years. But the legal battle wasn't just about potential jail time, it also threatened to dismantle the public image Chumlee had built his entire career upon. Industry experts speculated this could mark the end of his time in the entertainment spotlight. Court documents later revealed the full extent of the evidence collected from Chumlee's home: multiple firearms, including assault-style weapons, along with a variety of illegal substances and related paraphernalia. The volume and severity of the findings painted a deeply troubling picture and left fans, critics, and colleagues questioning how one of reality TV's most beloved personalities could have ended up in such a position. In a significant development, the original sexual assault investigation was ultimately dropped due to insufficient evidence. However, prosecutors maintained that Chumlee's lifestyle presented serious public safety risks. A prosecution filing called for the maximum penalties available under the law, citing the quantity and nature of the items found during the raid. When the trial began, the courtroom was filled with tension. Chumlee entered somberly, his expression grim as flashing cameras captured the moment. His porn star's colleagues, visibly shaken, looked on as the case unfolded. "Your Honor, this case involves serious violations of controlled substance and weapons laws," the prosecutor said in their opening statement. As photographs of the seized items were displayed in court, the atmosphere grew even more strained. Chumlee kept his eyes down, occasionally shaking his head as damning evidence was introduced. Cross-examination intensified the courtroom drama. "Detective, are you asserting that Mr. Russell was operating a drug distribution operation?" a defense attorney challenged. The question hung heavily in the air, underscoring just how far the beloved reality star had fallen, and how much was at stake in the trial that would determine his future. During the trial, tensions rose as Chumlee's attorney challenged the prosecution's narrative. "The amount and variety of substances suggests more than just personal use," the attorney acknowledged, but quickly shifted focus, pointing out the lack of concrete evidence of distribution. "Yet you found no scales, packaging materials, or records typically associated with drug dealing," he argued. The courtroom grew increasingly tense as discussions turned to the firearms found in Chumlee's home. "Would you agree that Mr. Russell is an avid collector, including historical weapons?" the defense asked. A firearms expert responded sharply, stating that proper licensing and secure storage are essential, regardless of intent or historical value. Chumlee, visibly anxious, leaned in to whisper something to his attorney, prompting a stern warning from the judge: "Please remain silent unless you are testifying." As the trial progressed, legal analysts began weighing in on the potential outcome. Former prosecutor James Wilson commented, "These charges typically carry significant prison time." The combination of firearms and controlled substances creates a particularly serious legal scenario. The defense, however, emphasized Chumlee's clean criminal record and the unique pressures of fame. "My client became trapped in a cycle of excess that impaired his judgment," his lawyer explained. "He never intended harm and has otherwise been a respected public figure." With the trial approaching its end, public interest surged. Fans followed every update, recognizing that this wasn't just a legal proceeding, it was a pivotal moment in the downfall of a beloved TV personality. Chumlee's charm and relatability had made him a star, and now everything he had built was at risk. Plea negotiations became a critical focus, with both sides working intensively toward a resolution. The stakes were enormous: his freedom, reputation, career, and future on porn stars all hung in the balance. Financial losses were estimated in the millions. On the final day of the trial, crowds gathered outside the courthouse. Some held signs of support, while others wore porn stars' merchandise, underscoring the show's cultural impact. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation as Judge Michael Davidson prepared to issue the final ruling. In the matter of State versus Russell, the judge began solemnly, this court has thoroughly reviewed the plea agreement negotiated between the prosecution and the defense, taking into account all mitigating and aggravating factors. The courtroom fell silent, broken only by the sound of papers rustling. Chumlee stood with his hands slightly trembling at his sides. The defendant has pleaded guilty to 1 felony weapons charge and 1 misdemeanor drug charge, the judge continued. The remaining charges have been dismissed as part of the agreement. Chumlee's expression remained tense as his attorneys exchanged cautious glances. However, Judge Davidson made it clear that the seriousness of the offenses could not be overlooked. The possession of illegal substances and improperly registered firearms poses a significant public safety risk, he stated firmly. The sentence was announced. Chumlee would serve 3 years of probation, undergo regular drug testing, attend mandatory counseling, and forfeit all items seized during the raid. But the most shocking condition came at the end. Any violation of his probation would result in an automatic 3-year prison sentence, with no additional hearings. The court accepts the plea agreement under these conditions, the judge declared. Mr. Russell, you are hereby sentenced to 3 years of probation under strict monitoring. Any violation will lead to immediate incarceration for 3 years. Do you understand these terms? The judge asked, his voice cutting through the heavy silence. The weight of those words hit Chumlee like a punch to the gut. After months of uncertainty and the looming threat of a decades-long sentence, this moment should have brought relief. Instead, it felt overwhelming. The realization of how close he had come to losing everything, coupled with the immense pressure to stay on the right path, left him visibly shaken. His face paled, and sweat began to form on his brow as the judge continued, outlining the conditions of his probation. In addition, the defendant must complete 200 hours of community service, the judge added. But by then, Chumlee was barely processing the words. The courtroom seemed to spin around him, the judge's voice growing distant against the ringing in his ears. His attorney, sensing something was wrong, placed a supportive hand on his arm. But it was too late. Suddenly, the beloved porn star's personality collapsed forward. A collective gasp echoed through the courtroom as security rushed to his aid. Chumlee lay unconscious on the floor, a stark contrast to the cheerful, easygoing figure viewers knew from television. He's having a panic attack, a paramedic in the gallery shouted, pushing through the stunned crowd. Give him space. Someone get water. Medics hurried to his side while photographers captured the startling moment. Chumlee, sprawled on the floor in a courtroom, overwhelmed by the consequences of his actions. The image would soon dominate headlines worldwide. Outside, porn star's lead Rick Harrison made a brief appearance to check on his longtime colleague and friend. Concerned fans gathered nearby, many struggling to come to terms with the dramatic turn of events. The courtroom panic attack quickly overshadowed the verdict itself, becoming the primary focus across social media and entertainment news. Hashtags like #ChumleeStrong and #PornStarsFamily began trending, as supporters flooded timelines with messages of concern and encouragement. 3 days later, Chumlee reappeared in a video statement filmed from his home. Though still visibly shaken, his trademark smile had started to return. Apparently, facing the consequences of your actions gives you anxiety attacks, he said with a weak chuckle. The doctor says I need to make better choices, and I know he's right. His health scare marked a noticeable shift in his public persona. The carefree persona had faded, replaced by someone seemingly more self-aware and sincere. In an unexpected turn, executives at the History Channel reportedly expressed support for his eventual return to the show. An anonymous source suggested that the network viewed the situation not as a scandal, but as an opportunity for a real redemption arc. Though no official statements confirmed future plans, neither Chumlee nor the network denied the possibility. In his next public appearance, Chumlee adopted a more serious tone. I let fame cloud my judgment, he admitted. I made mistakes that could have cost me everything. I'm grateful for this second chance, and I promise my fans I won't waste it. His honest words resonated with many in the entertainment industry. One veteran reality TV producer commented, audiences love redemption stories, and Chumlee now has one that feels real. Since then, Chumlee has seemed focused on fulfilling his court-mandated responsibilities while shifting his attention back to his legitimate business ventures. Online forums and fan communities have continued to show strong support, speculating about his potential return to television. When asked directly about a comeback, Chumlee gave a thoughtful reply, "Right now, my priority is getting healthy and making better decisions. Porn stars has been like family to me for years, and I hope to make them proud again." Rather than becoming a career-ending scandal, his legal troubles appear to have opened the door to a new chapter. Interest in porn stars remains high, and for Chumlee, the path forward may be one of reflection, growth, and perhaps, redemption. Longtime fans eagerly awaited Chumlee's return to the screen, having followed his journey from a relatively unknown pawn shop employee to a beloved reality TV personality. For many, the courtroom drama was more than just a legal spectacle, it was a sobering reminder of the pressures and pitfalls that often accompany sudden fame. His dramatic collapse in court wasn't just a physical response to the moment, it seemed to mark a turning point, revealing a more vulnerable, authentic side of the man who had long been known for his carefree charm. Perhaps, in that moment, the true Chumlee began to emerge, one shaped not only by fame but also by its consequences. What are your thoughts on how fame can influence personal judgment? Share your perspective in the comments below.